In this video, we are again going to look at special triangles, but this time we're going to use them to solve trigonometric equations, meaning we are going to be given the ratio and we're asked to find the angle or angles that make the equation true. So again, if you remember the two special triangles that we looked at already that you need to have memorized, again, you should have those written down for you to refer to because it's a lot to keep in your head. So we're going to look at 4 questions together, and each one we want to find the angle theta, and theta has to lie between 0 and 360 degrees. In part A, we are told that sine theta equals -1 over root 2. So I'm going to use my special triangles to try to find the angle where the opposite of that angle is 1 and the hypotenuse is root 2. So only the first triangle has a root 2 in it, so I have to be using this triangle, and I only am be using the 45-degree angle. So if you look at 45, the opposite is indeed 1, and the hypotenuse is root 2. So that means the reference angle is 45 degrees. So now we will use the reference angle to find all of our solutions. So I'm going to use cast, and the sine ratio is negative. So I'm going to identify where my solutions lie. It's in the third quadrant and the fourth quadrant. So that means this reference angle of 45 degrees is not a solution. But it will help me find my solutions because these reference angles are 45 degrees. So that means my first solution is 180 plus 45 degrees, which is 225 degrees. And the second solution is 360 take away 45 degrees, which is 315 degrees. So therefore, my solutions are 225 degrees and 315 degrees. You have to be very clear of what your answers are and if your reference angle is not a solution or not. In the second question, we have the tan ratio. So we are looking for the opposite over the adjacent. So the adjacent is simply 1. So it's root 3 over 1. So the root 3 is only in the second triangle. So I have to look in here. So what is opposite of root 3? So we're talking about the 60-degree angle. Opposite of 60 degrees is root 3, and the adjacent to 60 degrees is 1. So our reference angle is 60 degrees. So now we will identify where the solutions are. The tan ratio is positive, so we have a solution in quadrant 1 where all the ratios are positive, and in quadrant 3 where the tan ratio is positive. So that means the reference angle are 60 degrees. So the 60 degrees is a solution, our reference angle, and the second solution is 180 plus that 60 degrees, which is 240 degrees. So therefore, my solutions are 60 degrees and 240 degrees. Part C and D deal with the reciprocal trig ratios. So here we have secant theta is equal to root 2. So that's actually root 2 over 1. So what I'm going to do, just like we did before, we're going to take the reciprocal of the ratio. So cos theta is equal to 1 over root 2. So we will use the special triangles to identify the angle where the adjacent is 1 and the hypotenuse is 2. Again, cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. So we have that root 2. Root 2 is only in that first triangle, so it has to be 45 degrees. The adjacent of 45 degrees is 1, and the hypotenuse is root 2. So that means the reference angle is 45 degrees. So now we will use the unit circle to identify where all the solutions are. So the cos ratio is positive here, which means that our solutions are in the first quadrant where all ratios are positive, and in the fourth quadrant where the cosine ratio is positive. So that means that this 45-degree reference angle is a solution, and the other solution is therefore 360 degrees minus 45 degrees, which is 315 degrees. So therefore, the solutions are 45 degrees and 315 degrees. And finally, the last question, we have secant theta again. So again, that's cos theta. We're going to take the reciprocal, so that's root 3 over 2. The ratio is negative, so it stays negative. And we want to use the special triangles. So again, we are looking for the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So we need to find the angle where the adjacent is root 3 and the hypotenuse is 2. So we're looking at that second triangle. So there's a hypotenuse of 2. What is adjacent to root 3 is 30 degrees. 30 degrees, the adjacent is root 3. So that is our reference angle, is 30 degrees. So now we are going to identify where the solutions lie. So we'll use cast. The cos ratio is negative, so our solutions are going to be in the second quadrant where only sine is positive, and the third quadrant where only tan is positive. So that means that our reference angle of 30 degrees is not a solution. So to find our solutions, we do 180 take away 30 degrees. So our first solution is 150 degrees. And the second solution is 180 plus the 30 degrees, which is 210 degrees. So therefore, our two solutions are 150 and 210 degrees. So that is looking at using the special triangles to find angles given exact ratios.